neck, her parents grew concerned and promptly sought medical attention. Little Maya had brought immense joy into the lives of Aaron and Emma Withington, a couple from Hutchinson, Kansas, who were navigating the early stages of parenthood with blissful enthusiasm. However, their happiness took a turn when, after 7 months into their parenting journey, they noticed an unusual swelling below Maya's jaw that seemed to be causing her discomfort, leading to incessant scratching. Initially dismissing it as a mere mosquito bite, the concerned parents attempted to soothe the irritation with gentle kisses. Yet, as time passed, it became evident that this swelling was far from ordinary. Worry deepening, Aaron and Emma rushed Maya to the Hutchinson Regional Medical Center for a thorough examination. The doctors initially diagnosed it as a swollen gland and prescribed antibiotics in the hopes of reducing the swelling. Relieved by the diagnosis, the Withingtons returned home optimistic about improvement. However, their relief was short-lived, as Maya's condition continued to deteriorate in the following days. The swelling below her jaw expanded significantly, reaching the size of 1.5 golf balls. Fearing the worst, Maya's grandmother took matters into her own hands, bringing the child back to the hospital without informing Aaron and Emma until she was already there. This time, the physicians suspected a staph infection affecting Maya's lymph nodes, given the alarming rate of growth within a short period. The swelling, now resembling a mountainous mass on the side of her face, extended from her cheek to her jaw and even down onto her neck, presenting a truly uncomfortable and painful sight. Undoubtedly, it was a nightmarish scene. Desiring to drain what appeared to be a peculiar pimple on the swollen area, the doctor delicately ruptured it in their sterile environment. To monitor any changes or progression in this mysterious ailment, the doctor drew marks on little Maya's face. The medical team remained vigilant in their quest to unravel the cause of this bizarre condition, diligently administering intravenous antibiotics every few hours. The unprecedented nature of the case drew significant medical attention within the hospital. As days passed, anxiety mounted for Aaron and Emma. They helplessly observed as medical professionals examined and treated their daughter without unraveling the root of the issue. Questions lingered: what could this swelling be? Where had it originated, and how could they halt its progression? As first-time parents, Aaron and Emma grappled with a myriad of horror stories circulating in their minds, aware of tragic tales where less fortunate families had tragically lost their children. Despite the fear, they clung to the hope that this wouldn't be their reality. Perhaps the ailment was innocuous and easily treatable. During another routine checkup, one of the doctors noticed the formation of a scab over the area where the pimple had been previously opened. This development was entirely within the norm and expected. After all, the human body possesses a miraculous ability to self-heal wounds, with the formation of a scab marking the initial step in the recovery process. However, the doctors deemed it necessary to reopen the pimple to facilitate the drainage of any fluids. Intrigued, the doctor delicately scraped away at the scab using sterile tools. As he performed this seemingly routine procedure, Maya was temporarily obscured from Aaron and Emma's view. They trusted the doctor's expertise, but the task appeared to take an unusually long time, as if he was deeply studying the area. The doctor even made a few notes on a pad of paper. Once satisfied with the examination, the doctor excused himself from the room for an emergency in the ER. It was then that Aaron and Emma could fully see Maya again, and to their astonishment, they discovered something unimaginable. There was a thin string-like protrusion emerging from where the scab had been. This was not a medical instrument or a drainage aid, neither Aaron nor Emma could identify what it was. While it seemed to cause Maya some discomfort, she wasn't fussing with it, and her parents carefully tried to keep her hands away to prevent any potential harm. Perplexed by this disturbing sight, Aaron and Emma initially hesitated but decided to wait for the doctor's guidance. They believed that if there were any concerns, the doctor would have addressed them during the examination. Little did they know that more surprises awaited them. The answers to their questions would soon unfold in a startling manner. Later that evening, Maya's pediatrician paid a visit. Upon seeing Maya's swollen area, the pediatrician immediately sensed that something was amiss. After a thorough examination and gentle probing of the pimple, she turned to Aaron and Emma with furrowed brows. Curious and concerned, the pediatrician inquired about the nature of the object protruding from their daughter's neck. Eager for answers, Emma explained how the doctor had removed the scab, and in his absence, they had discovered the strange object emerging from the earlier pimpled area. The pediatrician wasted no time and promptly donned a pair of gloves. Her mind raced with anticipation, contemplating what could possibly be causing such an anomaly. Carefully and gently plucking at the mass uncomfortably lodged in Maya's neck region, everyone held their breath anxiously awaiting answers. Finally liberated from its confining location within Maya's body, the pediatrician marveled at what lay in her gloved hand. In fact, everyone who witnessed the startling event was shocked into silence. The unexpected sight unfolded as the pediatrician revealed a 2-inch-long black feather in her hand. The undeniable feeling of confusion and shock reverberated through everyone present as they tried to comprehend how and why a feather had made its way into their beloved little girl's body. It was not a natural occurrence and certainly didn't happen out of the blue. There had to be a reason. Both Aaron and Emma were beyond baffled but relieved that an answer was finally found. With the feather now removed, Maya seemed much more comfortable, and even the pimple started to subside, looking less inflamed. It became apparent that Maya had unknowingly swallowed or inhaled the tiny feather at some point during the 7 months since her birth. Whether it happened while the family was out and about or from a feather pillow, they would never truly know. The feather must have pierced through either her cheek or throat before gradually making its way out through her swollen neck area. This unusual situation was something doctors had never seen before. The bizarre culmination of events left the Withingtons in awe of their daughter's resilience. It served as a reminder that life could throw unexpected curveballs. However, with fate, love, and modern medical expertise, even the strangest mysteries could be unraveled. This unsettling experience solidified their dedication to protect and nurture Maya, no matter where life's unexpected feathers may lead them next. Now, it's over to you. What are your thoughts on this incredible story? And then there is another story. Let's expect what will happen. The girl had pains in her intimate area, and what the gynecologist found during the examination was chilling. That morning turned out to be a complete disaster for Maya. Everything went the opposite of what she had planned. Firstly, she overslept deeply, and as a consequence, her son Mateo also didn't get up on time. Eventually, she managed to wake the child and rushed to the kitchen where a new calamity awaited her. The omelette turned into a charred disaster and, instead of ending up on the plate, it ended up in the trash. To make matters worse, she discovered that the 2 eggs she had used were the last ones, forcing her to give some money to Mateo so he could buy something at the school cafeteria. The fridge, as her clever son jokingly remarked, went into a state of hibernation. Every time he looked at it, he exclaimed, "Mom, the police are on their way, you're going to have to answer some questions." And there it was again, the refrigerator, empty. As she accompanied her son to school and bid him farewell with a tender kiss, she asked, "What do you feel like having for dinner?" Mateo wiped off the lipstick trace from his mother's cheek, a usual habit, and adjusted his glasses before immediately responding, "Macaroni and cheese with sausages." A smile lit up the woman's face as she stroked her son's brown hair, saying, "Of course, I don't even know why I ask you." Instead of savoring her breakfast, Maya suddenly felt invaded by an unmistakable smell of fabric. Charring to her horror, she discovered that her new blue blouse lay on the ironing board, being crushed by the cruel iron that already left marks of damage on the fabric. Quickly, the garment ended up in the trash, accompanying the already unfortunate French omelette. Following this, Maya went to prepare the coffee maker, but instead of finding a packet of ground coffee in her hands, she found a bag of cat food. The signs that something was amiss began to become evident, although her mind was still in another world. Fortunately, her cat Fabiana began to rub against her legs and meow desperately, requesting her breakfast. That was the moment when Maya decided that she wouldn't have time to apply makeup that morning, she would likely end up smearing mascara on her eye. With only the essentials in her bag, she hurried off to work, constantly checking her watch as she struggled to remember what time her first appointment started. Maya was a gynecologist working in a clinic specializing in women's health. That day, her schedule was filled with appointments with pregnant women. Despite the challenges of her job, Maya loved it. Gynecology, a delicate field of medicine, required a special touch and knowledge. However, Maya was an excellent doctor who knew how to find the right words to console pregnant women and provide support to those who, without looking her in the eyes, shared their desire to terminate a pregnancy. When dealing with patients facing sexual issues, she always assured them that they could trust her without feeling embarrassed. She was there to listen and help. She had wanted to be a gynecologist for a long time, though she didn't have a childhood story of injecting teddy bears at the age of 5 throughout the house. Instead, she chose this profession following her mother's advice. Her passion for her work had blossomed over the years, and she was determined to make a difference in her patients' lives. Maya left the building and hurried to her car, an old but prestigious vehicle that seemed to gift her problems. As she was about to open the door, she suddenly heard the voices of her neighbors. Both had hearing difficulties and believed their conversations were discreet, but whenever they started gossiping, their voices resonated throughout the courtyard like an old record player constantly skipping. "Poor girl, so young and beautiful. I feel sorry for her. And what about being alone with the child? Well, she doesn't have another choice. It's in the genes." Maya furrowed her brow and then got into the car, slamming the door shut. However, she immediately regretted her reaction. Venting her frustration on the old car was not the best outlet for her anger. She started the engine with difficulty, but eventually, it came to life. From her father, Maya knew practically nothing despite her inquisitive attempts to uncover his identity. Her mother vehemently refused to reveal that secret. There was a single occasion when Maya, still attending school, overheard a conversation between her mother and her friend, both in a state of intoxication. At that moment, her mother recounted that her daughter's father had sworn eternal love, promising her a life full of happiness and free from worries. However, before fulfilling his promise, he had planned to visit his hometown to prepare his family for the announcement. But in the end, he simply disappeared, leaving Candela with her daughter and insurmountable debts. He married a woman approved by his parents due to her docility and religious affinity, and the beauty of this young lady also played a role in the choice. The conversation had left Maya with a lump in her throat and unanswered questions about the father she never got to know. Candela's mother experienced such intense anger toward her father that she made a drastic decision regarding her daughter. Maya changed her first surname to her own, a sign of defiance and detachment. However, she decided to keep the name that had already been given to her, a name not among the most common but with special meaning. This name was the only legacy left by Maya's father, apart from the genes manifested in her captivating physical appearance. Maya had deep and enigmatic eyes as dark as the lyrics of the most passionate songs. Her hair was a dazzling jet black, and her skin had the velvety softness of a darker shade reminiscent of coffee with milk. In an attempt to release tension, Maya turned on the music in the car and tried to relax. Despite her longing for a revitalizing coffee, time did not allow her to stop at a cafe. Unexpectedly, problems were far from giving her respite. About 20 minutes from reaching the clinic, her vehicle began to stop and start intermittently. Worry seized Maya as she found herself stranded in the middle of the road. "Can this be possible?" exclaimed the woman with a mix of disbelief and frustration. She stopped the car at the first available spot, and upon opening the hood, she noticed a cloud of smoke or vapor emanating from it. Maya tried to inspect the engine but soon found herself engulfed in a violent cough and had to step back. While trying to address the mechanical failure, the gynecologist muttered with scorn, "Well, maybe I should study mechanics instead of anatomy." Meanwhile, other cars sped past her, and impatient drivers honked their horns. With the last honk, Maya lost her patience and raised her hand, showing the middle finger in a disapproving gesture to the driver, exclaiming with a voice of dissatisfaction. Exasperated, "It would be courteous of you to stop and offer your help. Or is it that there are no gentlemen left in this world?" Oblivious to her surroundings, focused on the unfortunate breakdown, Maya didn't immediately notice when a luxury car stopped next to hers. A friendly, masculine voice broke the silence, "Can I help you?" His words were filled with a positive surprise and a touch of humor. "They say that after a streak of bad luck, good luck always follows, and small misfortunes lead us to true catastrophes," he added. Surprised, Maya turned towards the man, and her eyes widened. "Edgar," she exclaimed in astonishment. Edgar replied simultaneously with a smile on his face. The situation reminded them both of the wisdom of those sayings about life and unexpected surprises it could bring. Maya wasn't in a hurry to leave this world, but suddenly images related to a long period of her life with Edgar flashed through her mind. Edgar had been her well-hidden love, a beautiful secret she had kept from the entire world. At that time, Sarah, a medical student doing her internships at a private clinic, found it to be an exciting adventure. After all, could there be anything more special and intriguing than a date with a doctor in his office, with an exciting continuation on top of his desk? Even the fact that Edgar was unfaithful to his wife didn't bother Maya at all. "I only want you. My relationship with Elena is just a business. It's called a marriage of convenience," Edgar used to whisper to her, mixing his words with the kisses he planted on her neck. "And I know I'm going to leave her, but we'll have to wait a bit." However, when his wife became pregnant, it was with Maya that he broke things off, and she had no choice but to rebuild her life piece by piece, shattered. But since then, 10 years had passed. Now, even if Maya's pulse started to race, she could calm herself instantly. "Well, what a encounter," the woman complained, shrugging. Edgar felt uncomfortable, thinking that this dark-haired woman held a grudge against him. However, Maya continued talking, this time with a dazzling smile. "Since I have to meet my ex-boyfriend, I would like to look more put together. But you see, it's unfair, fate is. You're in a suit and well-shaved, and on the other hand, I've gone out without makeup, and I feel incapable of figuring out what's wrong with my car." Edgar felt much better, and it showed in his posture as he became more relaxed and also smiled at her. "You know perfectly well that you don't need makeup to look beautiful," he told the woman suddenly. "And I would even say that you haven't changed at all." Maya swallowed nervously, eager to get back to the car, and gestured towards the hood. "I think you asked me earlier if I needed help." "No, but this old car is the last thing that needs 2 doctors." To the woman's surprise, Edgar took off his jacket, rolled up his shirt sleeves, and began checking something under the hood. Meanwhile, Maya called work and explained the situation. They gave her a day off, and a colleague offered to cover for her. Only after hearing this, Maya could breathe calmly. "I found the problem, but I won't be able to fix it," admitted Edgar, disappointed after a while. "I'll call a tow truck. I'll take you somewhere." "There's no need now," said the gynecologist. "I've had to take a day off. What do you think about grabbing a coffee?" Edgar asked. "We haven't seen each other in a long time. Let's chat for a while." Maya's heart seemed to want to leap out of her chest. It was a strange sensation. Both she and Edgar tried to appear carefree, ignoring the discomfort that seemed to linger in the air. They both acted as if that painful separation had never occurred, and it hadn't frustrated Maya. When the woman opened her mouth to reject the coffee proposal, her stomach, which that morning had been deprived not only of the stimulating drink but also of French toast and even cat food, made a strange noise. Maya blushed and covered her face with her hand. "Look, how about we leave the coffee for another day," she requested, choking with laughter. "That way, I can come dressed up and with a full stomach." Edgar laughed, and his laughter sounded so familiar to Maya that she felt butterflies in her stomach, a sensation she had completely forgotten. She bit her lip and even got angry with herself for reacting like that, remembering that precisely that laughter and the coffee were the beginning of everything. Maya didn't realize how she found herself in a beautiful cafe decorated with fresh flowers in front of a plate of croissants. She had breakfast eagerly, unable to stop looking at Edgar's hand, which still bore a ring. Well, no big deal. At least he pays for breakfast. Anyway, he owes me, the woman thought to herself as she listened to Edgar's life story, even though he was still married. However, he didn't want to reveal much about it. Instead, he was very animated, sharing his business successes and talking about the scientific conferences he had participated in. To keep the conversation going, Maya briefly described her life, saying, "I'm fine," and shrugged. "I still live in the same place, my mother's apartment. I work just as I dreamed, as a gynecologist. I help women become mothers. It's a special profession, don't you think? We save, we help babies be born." A look of enthusiasm lit up Maya's face. Edgar couldn't take his eyes off her. In the end, he drove her home, saying, "Now the neighbors will gossip again," as Maya gestured towards the elderly women peeking from their balconies. "Anyone would be pleased to escort such a beautiful woman home," Edgar said, and it seemed like he had no hurry to say goodbye to Maya. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, confused. "There's only one man in my life, and it's my Mateo." She winked at Edgar, got out of his car, and walked to the entrance without turning back. Edgar watched her, surprised by the storm that suddenly overtook his calm when he saw his ex-girlfriend again and heard about this mysterious Mateo. For some reason, he felt jealous. Maya only disconnected from what had just happened when she closed her front door and exhaled. Edgar was still there. She behaved naturally and calmly, even joked and teased him a bit, indicating that she was about to start seducing him. She didn't talk about her son or her personal life, even though Edgar tried to find out some details. "Why do I need this?" the woman grumbled and put away the business card Edgar gave her. It was just a casual encounter, like any other. Maya was very wrong. Later, when she received a call from the car repair shop, it turned out that her vehicle had been thoroughly inspected and repaired, and Edgar had paid for the entire repair. Maya couldn't help but take out the just-stored business card, justifying that it wasn't very polite not to thank the man in any way. "Hey, Edgar, you didn't have to do that." "Seriously," she said when he answered the call. "I can pay for it myself. Don't doubt it. I just wanted to treat myself. I'll pay you back, you know I won't accept your money. If you want to thank me, you can buy me dinner, and it's settled. What do you think?" Maya bit her lip, realizing that she had taken the bait like a fish. But the idea seemed right. "Well, if you promise not to order dishes with white truffle, I'll pay for your dinner," Maya said. When Edgar picked up Maya from work, she saw a luxurious bouquet of pastel pink roses on the car seat. "I remember you liked the smell of melissa and pink flowers," Edgar said when Maya got into the car and inhaled the scent of the petals. "Tell me, do you still like the color pink?" Maya lowered her lashes and nodded. No, she no longer liked the color pink, it seemed too childish. She preferred cool shades of purple and gray, reminiscent of foggy days in the city, but she didn't say that. "I like knowing that you remember me," she commented instead. Edgar looked at her and said, "It's hard to forget you. You're so sweet." The heart in Maya's chest skipped a beat. Sweet, that was the meaning of her name, and that's what Edgar used to call her when they were alone. This was the moment after which their new romantic adventure with Ed began. Maya couldn't resist the romanticism of first love. Moreover, she had grown tired of being alone, longing for the happiness every woman deserved, and she was convinced it had been taken away from her. Perhaps that's why she decided to lie. After all, in love, as in war, everything is fair. "I want you to meet someone," Maya said after several weeks of dating. "And who is Mateo?" Edgar replied decisively. "You said he was the man of your life," Edgar asked, raising his eyebrows and furrowing his brow. "He was jealous." Maya smiled. "I think you'll like him," she said mysteriously, "and bring, if you can, a chocolate cake." That same evening, when Edgar arrived at Maya's house, he understood everything immediately. "How old is he?" he whispered to Maya when Mateo ran to the kitchen to leave the cake he had brought. 10, the woman said, looking directly into Edgar's eyes. Edgar turned pale, then he tousled his brown hair, similar to the child's. He had no doubts. Since that day, the relationship between Maya and Edgar had reached a new level. The man immediately felt attached to his son and tried to spend more time with him, seemingly wanting to compensate for his absence in the child's life. However, the only thing Maya did not allow was for him to tell their son that he was his father. "You abandoned me once, I can't let you do the same to him. If you finally decide to fulfill your old promise and leave your wife to be with us, we can discuss it. If not, no," Maya declared. Enchanted by Maya and happy to have an heir, Edgar was willing to do anything. Gradually, he started preparing for a divorce from his wife. Maya didn't feel guilty about anything. After all, she made no attempt to pull that man away from his family, convincing herself that at the age of 20, Edgar had deprived her of the happiness she deserved, and now he owed it to her. Maya loved seeing Edgar stunning Mateo with gifts and electronic devices that she couldn't afford. She enjoyed watching them play soccer and witnessing her son learn to ride a bicycle. Observing her son's happy smile, Maya became increasingly convinced that she was doing the right thing. However, a workday changed everything. She was alone in the office, all her colleagues had gone on vacation, including the nurse. Feeling quite stressed, the only thing that kept her going was the fact that the next day was Saturday, and she and Edgar already had plans. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door, and Maya called for them to come in. When she saw who it was, confusion struck her. She then checked the list of patients scheduled for that day and read the name Valeria, who should be around 17 years old based on the data but was actually a girl of no more than 10. She looked no older than Mateo. The girl asked if she could come in, speaking softly and avoiding eye contact. Maya, taken aback but considering the nature of a gynecologist's office, agreed. "My name isn't Valeria," the girl said with a sigh, nervously squeezing her fingers. "I asked a friend to get me an appointment. We need to talk." The doctor nodded thoughtfully, concerned about seeing such a young and nervous girl in her office. "You can tell me everything without fear. Let's start over. Tell me your name," Maya suggested. The girl pursed her lips, as if revealing her name was not part of her plan. "Alright, so why did you come to see me?" The girl lifted her head, tears in her eyes. "My dad," she began with some nervousness. The doctor looked at the frail girl and felt even more fear. Everything indicated that something terrible had happened. "What did your father do to you?" The girl exhaled abruptly and said, closing her eyes, "My dad wants to leave us for you. Please don't take him away from me. I love him very much, you know. But since he's been with you, he pays no attention to me. He's always angry, never has time, and has stopped coming to see my performances. He says he's too busy, but I know he's been coming to see you. My mom knows it too. Last night I heard her crying in the bathroom." The girl looked directly into the eyes of the doctor, who was stupefied. "Don't destroy my family, I beg you. I want my dad to be himself again. I want him and mom to laugh together as they used to and spend weekends together. And you, why do you want my dad?" The girl was crying. Maya didn't realize that tears were also streaming down her face. Edgar never mentioned his daughter, he only complained about his wife, saying he was bored and felt relieved to have found Maya again because family life was burdensome. Then, Maya saw herself in that girl. She never knew her father, yet she missed him. Maya had always been protected by her mother, who tried to replace the whole world for her. Of course, her mother was wonderful, but that place in a child's soul reserved for a father's love was empty. Maya looked into the girl's red, sad eyes, and hearing the sobs coming from her chest, she understood that she couldn't build her own happiness at the expense of another person's pain, especially a child's. "Your dad and I are old friends," Maya said in a low voice. "You're a bit mistaken. He doesn't like me. We got in touch because he was going to help me with a project, but we've already finished it. Do you understand? I'm serious, it's me." The girl asked with doubt and relief, "Is it really you?" "Yes, of course," Maya nodded. "You told me how much he loves you." It took Maya a long time to calm the girl. She even made her tea and offered some sweets. She was glad to see the girl's rosy cheeks return. The girl's name was Maria. She told Maya how she found out about the relationship between this doctor and her father. Maria and her teenage friend Valeria had passed by the clinic before, seeing Monica's father's car and him picking up Maya from work. He gave her flowers and kissed her. Valeria told Maria that the beautiful woman was her father's lover. When her father began to distance himself from the family, Monica decided to talk to her father's lover herself and ask her to break up with him. That's what Maya did that very night. "I'm sorry, Edgar, I lied to you. Mateo is not your son. When you left me, I was depressed. I saw a guy who reminded me of you, got drunk, and spent the night with him. That's how Mateo was born," Maya confessed to the man. Edgar tried to change her mind. He declared his love, saying that despite everything, he felt attached to Mateo. However, Maya stood firm. She didn't know if the man would remain faithful to his family or not, but she knew she couldn't become the cause of another person's pain. In the end, she was left alone again with the man of her life, her son. But this time, she wasn't alone for long. One day, her car broke down just as she and Matteo were leaving the city. A car stopped right away next to them. The man at the wheel was named Luigi, and although this man was not going to be Maya's first love, he was going to be the last.